Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of. Oh, wait, hold on, Discord. There you go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode, day, whatever it is, of Kobold Chats. My name is Kendrick or Kendo, whichever you prefer. I use they, he pronouns, and I'm the media production manager of Kobold Press, the thing that we are all here to talk about. Well, kind of talk about. Today, I have a very special guest with me today to talk about their project over at No Quest for the... Oh my goodness. No Quest for the Wicked. There we go. Hey, I should have known because it's a great name. One of our wonderful partners who won, won. I think one is a good word to use. One of our Kobold Creates grants, which, if you remember, we did earlier in the year, which 10 amazing projects received a grant from Kobold Press to be able to go out and make Tales of the Valiant projects, be they actual plays, be they short form videos, just people who wanted to show their excitement for Tales of the Valiant and go out, play those games, and tell other people how excited they are about it as well. And so I'm very happy to be able to talk to yet another one of the groups that, I mean, honestly, I'm just so excited for, because you all don't get to be in the special little Discord where they show me the little pieces of their projects, where they get to just, go ham, make awesome art, just showing, like, it's so good. And I think I actually have 2 more lined up over the next couple of weeks, so it's just gonna be a lot of Kobold Create stuff, which I'm super excited for. You're reading reading the player's guide while listening. Beautiful. I love that for you. But before we get to this interview, I've got a few things for you. If you don't already know about this, we have the Kobold Press Encounter Builder coming soon. What is that? Well, it's going to be an application that you can use to build encounters using, I think it's every Kobold Press monster that we have across all of our books. I'm talking Tome of Beasts 1 through 3, Creature Codex, the Monster Vault. You can use every single monster that we've made. You're going to be able to build encounters using them, and then you'll also be able to search for monsters based on their creature type, what their CR is, what location they're in. So that way you can, if you're looking for, man, I've got this wizard who's has all of these demons that I think he's going to be summoning, right? But oh man, what demons do I want him to summon? You can just type demon in it and it'll pop up every Kobold Press demon that we have, and also tell you what book you can find them in. And that way you can also you can build encounters based off of their CR as well, using the math that actually works, so that you can make sure that you are appropriately, gauging the difficulty of your encounters. And so I've got a link for you for the wait list for the encounter builder, so you can be notified the moment it goes live. And as updates are made to the platform, you'll also get notifications for that as well. So you can go to that link that I just put in the chat and check those out. The one channel I don't have, I'm so sorry, Aloysius. I'm so sorry. Hey, counting days for the PDF for the GMG. Same. Also, same. As a forever GM, I'm also counting those days. But yes, that's the Kobold Press Encounter Builder. Go sign up to get notified, because it's cool and a very useful tool as a GM who A, hates doing math, and B, sometimes might make encounters maybe just a tinge too hard. Having something like this helps me be able to make sure that I'm actually doing my job as a GM and balancing things correctly, but also as a reference to every single Kobold Press book, literally every single one. It's going to make life so much easier, and so I hope you're all looking forward to that, because I'm looking forward to it. You can go to waitlist to go do that. The next thing that I have for you The next thing I have for you here is we just released earlier this week the Book of Blades complete digital bundle. Now, if you aren't already familiar, the Book of Blades is a 12-part series that we've been releasing that just adds more options for basically every class, and giving you just more tools to be able to be the exciting adventurers and powerful adventurers that we know you are. So there are 12 of them. You can go find this digital bundle over on the Kobold Press store. It is currently discounted to be $39.99. That's getting 12 books, 12 PDFs right there. And each, like, there's new character options for martial classes, including rogues, paladins, and barbarians. Exciting and deadly new weapons, armors, enchanted items. And I forgot, they also have mechanics for battles at sea, skirmishes, mass combat. You could get Book of Blades, expanding the barbarian, expanding mentors and rivals, expanding the fighter, expanding the monk, expanding the ranger, expanding the paladin, warfare, expanding the rogue, arcane punk arsenal, battlefields, fabled armory, and naval battles. 12 books for $39.99 right now over on the Kobold Press store, so head on over if you want to check that out. And the last thing that I have for you before we get into this interview is we also released the PDF for our free RPG Day adventure that came out this year for 2024, Shards of the Spellforge, an adventure for 4 to 5 first level characters. And you can go get that over on the Kobold Press store. Here we go. I've got more links for you. Today's just I'm like Oprah Winfrey here, giving you links. You get a link. You get a link. You get a link. And also great books as well. Shards of the Spellforge was the game that, was the adventure that came out this year for Free RPG Day. And we said, well, Free RPG Day passed. We don't want to, make it so that other people, like, if you missed it, we don't want you to, like, not be able to play this super cool adventure that we made for you. So we decided to put it out for you. It's only $3.99 over on the Kobold Press store. It's a great introductory adventure because it is for first level characters. So you can use it to get your group into Tales of the Valiant, give it a try. But also, as always, Tales of the Valiant is 5e compatible. So if you did just want to play D&D 5e, you could use it for that as well. So go check that out over on the Kobold Press store. Whew. That was that. That was a lot of that. But hey, you know what? Now that we're through it, I think it's time that we go on and talk to our good friend Dain about No Quest for the Wicked. Hey Dain, how you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I mean, even better now that I get to talk to you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, for people who don't know you and No Quest for the Wicked, who are you and what is No Quest for the Wicked?
My name is Dain Miller. I am the resident game master. Although I'm about to take a back seat in our upcoming mini series, I'm gonna get to play, which is a lot of fun because I don't think a lot of people have realized how much of a monster I am as a player. And I can't wait to sort of like inflict the harm that my players have done to me over the years. So it's a little payback time. But I'm the GM of both the Tales of the Valiant miniseries that we're doing, Loom of Severed Strands, and pretty much everything else we've done prior. I'm a storyteller first and foremost. We really love the opportunity that No Quest gives us to tell stories with and about people that we care about.
Yeah.
No Quest is a actual play podcast. It's a ttrpg actual play podcast. We have played a bunch of different systems now, and we are currently playing Tales of the Valiant.
Yeah, hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure that everybody can hear you. They said you were lower volume.
Oh.
That's interesting. You shouldn't be.
I can turn myself up on my end, I think.
From my perspective, you should be pretty loud. It might be a Discord. Okay. Wilson said, okay, hey, everybody on Discord, because I think this is a Discord-specific issue. Let me, if you can keep talking just to make sure.
Yep.
Just
Check one, two. Check, check. This is me talking,
how's that
doing
for
my thing.
how's that for you, Discord?
I can keep going if you'd like. Discord, can you hear me? I'm here for you, Discord.
Yeah,
I want you to be here for me. Just vibing. Just
just
vibing
vibing.
now with Discord.
Still very
Discord
quiet.
and me.
Still very quiet. For people in Discord, make sure that your for my shared screen that your volume for the stream is up, because if oh well no, they say that they can hear me fine, but not you fine. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Wizardry.
Wizardry. Wizardry. Huh. Why can't they? Why? Why would that be? Why would that be?
The
So-
joys of
The
technology.
joys of technology. You know what? I'm going to try something. Okay, can you talk now? And then Discord, let me know
Yeah.
how you feel about it.
Discord, how you feeling about it? Please, Discord.
Please, Discord.
Please.
Please, Discord.
We just wanna be one whole unit.
We just want to be one whole unit. One whole unit. Slightly louder, still soft. Okay. Oh, okay. Try again. Yeah, I don't. Okay,
Yeah.
only one person. One person isn't having a problem, and everyone else. We love technology here over at Kobold Press.
Okay, now that doesn't make any sense.
Why is one person okay and not everybody else?
I can try to turn myself up in Zoom.
You sound perfectly fine for me. Okay. I did make a change. How does that sound for everybody?
How about that? Do we sound better now?
Do we sound better now?
The wild thing is that the one person who's hearing me loud and clear.
Is on. If he's in the KP server, I can. No, he's not currently in the. He's in
the
Zoom.
Discord?
But sounds good to me. Oh, it's just okay. Another person says he sounds fine. No change. This is kind of wild. I don't know what the issue would be. Let me. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure of a thing. Okay. I'm gonna try that. See if that makes a difference. Okay. Okay. Try talking now.
Hello, Discord.
Yeah.
To the four people
the-
that can hear me well.
To the 4 people. Yeah. Sounds fine to me. And Discord stream. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So yes, you have to make sure it's not just me. It's the stream itself that you are listening to, because that's where you're hearing him from. If that is low for you, that would also be low. So you might have to turn that up, to be clear, for the people in Discord. I'm super loud. Wait, okay. Are you sorry? Are you turning? Are you? This is wild. I'm so sorry, Dan.
That's okay. I'm here for the ride, man.
Yeah. You have to turn up the stream, not me, not my mic, but the stream itself. This is very funny. Okay. Let's. If it's not solved in the next couple in like the next minute or so, because some people are having the issue, some people aren't. So I'm imagining that the issue might genuinely be on you all's end on Discord. Now
Not
can
us,
hear.
it's you.
Okay, there we go. The stream was on 80. Increase it. See, there we go. All right.
We did it.
We did it. We figured it out. So that is the issue if you're having that issue. Okay. Whew. Sorry about that, Dane. Let's talk about Severed Strands.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. Awesome. Yes, if you are having an issue in Discord, you can also go to Twitch and YouTube to be able to listen as well. Okay. Whew. Dane. We're talking about No Quest for the Wicked and Severed Strands.
Yeah.
Why the name Severed Strands? What is your story? What does that have to do with what's going on? Because when I read the name of it, I was like, ooh, okay.
I think a good name makes it, like, there's so much content in the world, and there's a lot of really good content, especially in the ttrpg sphere, that I think you do need a name with a bit of hook to it, a little bit of meat to it. So I always try, whenever we come up with a name for our mini series, we try to come up with one that, like, would stop us from scrolling. Um, but I mean, it does also have a very strong relevance to the story without giving too much away, because there is a big kind of like hook at the end of episode one,
Hmm.
session one. But to not give away too much, the Loom of Fate is a magical item that sort of weaves the tapestry of time and fate. It is always spinning, always moving, and it's always producing what is currently happening. And the in this adventure, our adventurers find that the loom has the threads funneling into it to weave fate have been severed,
Hmm.
and they need to figure out what they need to do in the correct order in order to uh, attach the strands back so that fate and time continue uh, operating and working as normal.
That's so cool. I love the additional of what you need to do in order, because that's always like the hard part, right? Like we can figure it out, but let's make
Yeah,
sure we do it in the right order or maybe something goes wrong.
and in true fashion of like, I feel like a lot of GMs do this, where I forgot that I have 3 episodes in order to accomplish this. So we get a little liberal towards the end, where we're like, okay,
Hmm.
good enough. But I think we were able to sort of like pare the adventure down. I do kind of like look back at it now and be like, this would have been, I would have loved to do this in a more extended.
Hmm.
But I hope that, like, the nice thing about this kind of stuff is, like, if someone listens to it and they're like, oh, that's a cool idea, they can then go and make their own campaign based on like just that premise. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to copy any of the other things I do, but if and like, I think that's the great thing about, storytelling in general is all about just sort of like, there's no original stories anymore. It's just what you decide, like the flavor and spice that you decide to put on it.
Right.
So um I think this is a great jumping off point for people who have a little bit more time, because I would have loved to spend another like 10 episodes doing this, especially with the cast that I have. It
Ooh.
was uh so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, speaking of your cast, tell us about who's the cast. What characters are they playing?
Yeah, we so when we pitched to y'all at Kobold, we were like, let's put together a kick-ass cast. And we submitted fairly late, so we didn't have time to like confirm everyone. So
Hmm.
we had a lot of like yes, and it was also way in the future as well.
Hmm.
Um, but our first picks are the people that we ended up getting, and I can't explain how excited I am about them. So it's myself, Niall, and Ryan, who are sort of three of the main staple cast of No Quest, and then we've got three really really cool guests. We have Omega Jones, who, if you're involved in the TTRPG sphere, you definitely know who Omega Jones is. They go by Crown now as well.
Hmm.
You might recognize that name. uh just like an absolute powerhouse of a performer. They come in and like they but the thing I love about Omega is that they're so like centered,
Hmm.
and then they start performing and you're just like, oh, whoa, okay, cool. It comes out of this like quiet sort of like, uh I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like you look at Q, especially when they're like preparing and getting ready and they're like focused, like laser focused, and then all of a sudden they're a completely different person. um
I love that.
and Q is playing they're playing a orc ranger, and kind of playing against the archetype of this sort of like vicious, brutish, I'm an orc kind of thing. He's playing sort of like a down home southern rancher kind of thing, and
Ooh.
like he's just sort of like this really like soft, gentle soul who looks out for everyone, is taking care of everyone, considers like his party his flock. It's
Mm.
it's just like one of those. I love subverting expectation, and
Yeah.
I love like flipping stereotypes on its head. And Q makes a really good point at session zero of being like, people aren't monoliths,
Hmm.
and just because you have sort of like these racial traits,
Hmm.
which I love. Just to skip ahead of
Yeah,
like Tales of the
please.
Valiant doesn't give you, it gives you like the building blocks
Hmm.
of what a heritage looks like, but they're not like, you are this and that gives you this and that gives you that and that gives you that. And like, that's something that's always like felt weird to me
Hmm.
about building a character in TTRPGs, where especially when like races are involved, where you're like, okay, but like, not everyone's like that. Like we're all humans, and you couldn't just find like a human trait. You know what I mean? Like it's such a weird thing to like think of.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I really, really enjoy about Tales of the Valiant. It's just sort of like, here's physical sort of traits, and
Hmm.
everything else is kind of like up to you.
Right.
Um,
It's based off of where you were born, the people you were raised around, the skills
yeah,
that you've gathered by living and experiencing life. Which,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. It,
it's very powerful.
yeah. I think it does, it handles like heritage correctly, and it doesn't feel weird or gross.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have Dylan, who you may know as Super Dylan, who we got to meet through another a Starfinder show called The Atomless, who we performed with a couple times and worked with, and we just happened to meet Dylan through them. They're a featured cast member on The Atomless, and just immediately fall in love with her, or them, and you just like, you just can't not want to work with them. They were the one of the few people on the show that we didn't get to collaborate with during the
Hmm.
projects we were working. So first chance we got, it was a no brainer to get Dylan on. You'll know Dylan. So many cool games. They've currently working on something called Huntered, I believe
Yes, Hunter,
is the
Hunted. Yeah, I'm not.
Hunted, I think,
Yeah.
is like the way it's supposed to be said. It's got a little slash in, and you're essentially, the whole point of the game is you're one side is the monster hunter, one side is the monster, and you take turns sort of trying to get the upper hand in this battle, and it's just cool.
It's
It's
so
it's really
cool.
really cool. And pretty much everything Dylan does is cool. So we were really really stoked about that. And then finally we got Kai K, who you may know from Transplanar, the Chaos Protocol series. I can't say enough good things about Kai. They are so, like, the energy they bring just in our session zero alone. I've never seen someone like so dialed in and so excited about stuff. It's so nice, and it's so infectious.
Hmm.
We actually, I think a lot of people talk about Kai on Transplanter, and as they should, they're incredible on it. But what, like, how I found Kai was actually they did a Romeo and Juliet live stream on Twitch,
Yes.
using like green screens and stuff, and they were raising money for, I can't remember the name of the charity, but it's the one that gives women better opportunities in gaming. So
Mm.
for streaming, for creation and stuff like that, they ended up raising like over $5,000. Like that to me, I've never seen someone do Shakespeare on Twitch before, and it's such a strange idea, but it works so well, and they did such an incredible job.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I was a huge fan of Kai. So getting them on board was insane.
That's so
So
cool.
that's our cast, and as you can tell, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And I'm like, as you were saying, like you all have already done your session zero. Episode one came out just this past Wednesday.
Yep.
And people can find that on your YouTube. And it's a podcast, right? So people, I imagine, can find.
Yes, it is. You can find us on YouTube. A lot of people have been, but it is just sort of like audio
Hmm.
being picked up from our RSS feed. But you can find us on, if you can find us on a podcatcher that we're not on, I would be very surprised. You could find anything you listen to podcasts on, you can probably find us there. All the major ones and all the little guys too. So,
Amazing.
No Quest for the Wicked. Yeah, if you want to check it out, that's it. It would be easy to find, I think.
Yeah, and I just posted in all of the chats links to the session zero over on YouTube, so you can go check that out as soon as this is done if you wanted. And one thing that I love about this actually is that like I love that you all put out your session zero. That's something for my actual plays I also like doing
Yeah,
because like there's something about being able to showcase getting all of the players on the same page to also then get all of the audience on the same page about what you all are doing and why you're excited about it.
yeah. Session zeros are also so important for like anything, and I think it's important to normalize that. I think
Mm-hmm.
like a big chunk of the problem, I think, with a lot of campaigns is they don't do a proper session zero.
True. True.
We actually had a great, we ran into the to one of the people that made Roll 20,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a big like numbers guy, and he was like, oh, I did all these studies about what why campaigns fall apart. And he was
Mm-hmm.
like 9 times out of 10 it's because like they didn't do a proper session zero, and they didn't like talk about expectations and talk about like what we're looking for and what we want to do and what we want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then people get, heads start butting, and it's like, well, if you have that session zero, you do 30 minutes and talk about it,
Exactly.
everyone gets on the same page, or you make compromises and changes, and then you're happy.
Exactly.
And I think it's important to get those, like, get people who play the games used to doing it, and I think seeing it done also helps normalize it.
Yes, absolutely. Because I mean, that's genuinely also like a lot of the reasons why people don't do it. Because it's like, how do I do that? How do I have those conversations? And so
Yeah.
you modeling that in that session zero is so powerful to be able to help people like, oh, that's how I would have this conversation, or like this is a way in which I can do that. And I think that's really really cool. And I'm interested, like, what are some of the things, like, I mean, people should go listen to the session zero, but like, from what were some of the things that you all ended up talking about, either in like about like theming or characters, or even like some of those compromises that you all maybe had to make, or like changes to characters or the story, in that session zero.
So that we always start off with it's just the three of us, like the main no quest folk,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just kind of gushing about Tales of the Valiant and why we wanted to do it. Because I think that's important, like getting people introduced to whatever system we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not excited about playing it, I don't think a lot of people are going to be excited about listening to it. So thankfully, the systems that we've played in the past in Tales of the Valiant are games that we're really excited about, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that is a good way to draw people in. But afterwards, we did the way I usually like running session zeros is we go through, we talk about our characters, what they kind of like want to do, what they are good at. So I get a sense of like, oh, you've all made social based characters. Cool. I'm gonna limit combat or whatever. Especially in
Yeah.
like a thing where we only have 3 episodes and we have 3 guests as well. I want them to have the most amount of fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to play the character that they want to play. Because at one point in time we do have a conversation about uh like party composition, and I was like, don't worry about it, like whatever you guys come up with, just play and have fun, and I will deal with all that stuff in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up having our party composition is all very little dudes. So it's like two kobolds, a gnome, a goblin, and then we've got Omega, who's playing this big orc. So it's just
With
this
the
party of
whole-
little guys and a big orc. And that just like that wasn't a planned thing. It was just kind of what the vibe of the party was. And
yeah.
so we talk about that. I do talk about tone as well because I think that's important. Um, and in this one, I really wanted to go for like almost a Disney core sort of like really, in my mind, everything's playing out like Tangled.
Oh,
Like
okay.
that kind of vibe, like the white balls and the pastel clay roofs and the
Mm.
and
A
I was
good
like, I really want
aesthetic.
to go for that. And it was good because everyone was like, oh well, it's really great we didn't go for like a really grim dark backstory, because everyone's backstory was actually quite lighthearted, so it all kind of fit really well.
Mm-hmm.
um and then we go through safety tools and stuff like that, like safety play. That's another thing, we do that, a lot of that off air, because it is kind of a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do like to talk about the tools that we use, again, to normalize it. That's really why we do it on air,
Yeah.
is to talk about the tools that we use and how they're used, and then how they're implemented into the game, so that hopefully people who aren't doing it will be like, oh, okay, that's how easy it is, great, we'll start doing it as well.
Exactly. See, I love that. I absolutely love that. So, talked about your session zero, right? Episode one came out. And obviously, I don't want you to have to spoil anything. We want people to go listen to it. But I mean, you also said like you've already like recorded this, like things are just like editing coming out right
Yep.
now. What do you think makes this story like special, like from like both your perspective as like a person in it, GMing it and playing it, right? But also the person, I don't know what your production looks like, but assumedly one of the people behind the screen helping through the editing process and getting it out there. Like, what do you think is going to that makes this special and that you want people to get out of it?
I think the reason we did this, and our pitch to you guys, was
Mm-hmm.
that we wanted a really short, sort of digestible series that people could listen to, and by the end of it, feel like they know Tales of the Valley,
Hmm.
and know how and be comfortable being like, oh, okay, I can sit down at a table and I might have questions. I might have to look things up, but I know the sort of like bare bones idea of this system.
Hmm.
So that I think is going to be very easy to do. I think just listening and enjoying, you'll end up sort of like osmosising a lot of that information. But then I think like again, going back to our guests, I think the amount of like energy and fun and level of commitment that they gave us because they bought into the concept and the gimmick of the campaign immediately.
Hmm.
And that really was it was such a gift for me to be like, "Oh, I don't have to do any work." Like there is
You
no
just
sort
sit
of,
back.
wrangling cats trying to get them to do this adventure. I was like, "Here it is." And they were like, "Great." And then they were 100% in, and that too it's like the greatest gift a GM can get is sort of a party that has so fully invested in the concept and the plot.
Hmm.
And it was such a smooth sailing thing of being like, okay, well, we do have 3 episodes, so like we got
Let's
to
get
sort
through
of
this.
go through it.
Yeah.
But like the moments they gave us and the like energy and like player commitment or like character commitment to it, um incredible. It was I think that's going to really shine through is like how much fun we all had playing.
Hmm.
And I think that is a great way to feel like, oh, this is a game that is fun to play, and it is, right? Like it really does lend itself to uh we kept talking about it in our session zero of like how Tales of the Valiant pushes the narrative center stage and keeps the rules as sort of like the strong foundation
Yeah.
that you can build your house of story on. And you really don't have to like worry about too much because you know that like the rules are straight. They're like they're completely solid and serviceable for exactly what you're going to need them for, but they don't get in the way of making your dream home that is whatever your story is.
Yeah. That yeah, no, and that's definitely I think a thing as I've been reading through it and I've been slowly getting more and more obsessed with making my own game in it. Um is that like yeah, it's like because everything is readable, I can digest that information more. And B that like there are so many rules in there that like I've been going through the downtime rules as part of short form if you all have been seeing, but like there are rules for everything that I can possibly think of, and they also, as you said, don't get in the way. If I don't want to use them, I
Yeah.
don't have to. But if I do want to use them, it's clean, straightforward. I use them, and then I can focus, and they just help. I don't know how to say it better than you said. It built the foundation, right? Of
Yeah,
like and
it's
supporting the thing that you already want to do, which I
yeah,
think is
it's
cool.
like I love systems like that. I'm kind of I used to be like heavy into the crunch.
Hmm.
I used to love the numbers and the rules and all that. And now it's like someone gives me a book and they're just like, "Hey, you can learn this in like 30 minutes and start playing." Or there's like 4 stats or like any of those kind of like games. I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh man, you don't have to tell me anything else about this.
I'm
As
good.
long as you've got a good like vibe or like a good like tone or genre."
Hmm.
I mean, it's might not even be something I'm interested in. Like, I'm not a big horror guy, but if you give me a system that has a really simple, core concept to it,
Hmm.
I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna have a blast. And I think it's so weird because Tales of the Valiant is a very like traditional
Hmm.
D20 system, and it's got the big old book. But when I was reading through it, you're right. Like, it is very like you're just kind of like going through it and just absorbing it, and it's not it's really well laid out, which is another feather you guys should have in your cap because
Shout out to the
uh,
editing team.
yeah, because I've read a lot of books and a lot of them you're like, okay, and then it's like, what are you talking, what is this ability you're referencing in page 2 that doesn't show up for another like 120 pages? Like, it
Hmm.
all flows really well, and I think that's testament to the love and care that went into the system.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, I can't take that. Thank you to the production and editing team to help make sure, because that was a very big part of trying to help make sure that the game was accessible for both
Yeah.
new people new to TTRPGs getting into it and being able to read it, and also people who've read hundreds of books already, and there are a lot of older, more traditional like TTRPGs that, like you said, you're reading through, and it's just like a slog because
Yeah.
you have to get through so much before you even understand the concept that they've originally put out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's been I think both a big selling point as I tell people about Tales of the Valiant, but also a thing that I've been also realizing as I read through the book. So I'm glad that that was helpful for you all, and such a great sticking point for you as well. To, I guess, stick to the game, not sticking as far as a stopping point, but yeah, whatever. Sometimes words mean different things than what we said. Before we get to questions, don't forget, anybody in the chat and comments, if you all have any questions about the story or No Quest for the Wicked or anything like that, please feel free to put those in chat and we will get to them. My last question for you, though, is as a GM, playing in Tales of the Valiant, like, what were some of the tools that were like good for you to be able to for your story and your game?
It's once again the simplicity of everything. Fair. Of being like, I didn't. There were times where I'm sure a rules lawyer could have called me on a lot of stuff, but when you're in the heat of play, especially when you're doing something like an actual play, it's nice to have a rule set where you want to do a thing. Great, I'm going to give you a check. I'm going to give you a DC. I'm going to give you a whatever, and you're going to do it. And then it doesn't disrupt play. It feels like it fits in the system, and it feels like true to the core rules as well.
Yeah,
like it doesn't feel like I've bastardized anyone's hard work. It's just like, no, we're going. Tensions are high. I'm not going to stop play to look up a very specific rule.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like at any point in time, I had like just a little bag of tricks beside me to pull out if ever I got stuck, or if ever I felt like they were going to do something that I didn't really know how to handle. It was just like, no, I could just be like, give me a skill check, give me a save. I'm going to set a DC and you're going to roll against it. And it all felt like that's how it was meant to be played, mm-hmm. even if there was a more specific rule to like look up later on.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, your guys' like integration with various virtual tabletops, like we all did Theory of the Mind, but I was using your integration with Shard.
Oh, I love the Shard tabletop. I think it's my favorite one.
It's so handy because when I was preparing, instead of having to like flip through and find monsters and stuff, the monster book is right in the tabletop, like the Shard integration.
Mm-hmm.
So I could literally just like go in and just like scroll in a matter of like 2 seconds, look for what I was finding and just copy and paste, as opposed to sort of like taking a picture of the page or whatever. And it was like I built all my encounters, all my monsters, just pulling right from Shard and throwing it in. So that was another, like, the integration you guys have with virtual tabletops is also a godsend to GMs, especially if you are playing with a VTT.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine, like, it would probably be even easier than if I was just doing Theater of the Mind. Like if we were all there and I had it open up anyway, I would have been flying. It would have been great.
That's so good. I'm glad. Yeah. Cause when early on, when we first got, when we did the first integration, or like not when we did the first integration, when the integration first came out for Tales of the Valiant and Shard, I did character creation in it, and it was just a breeze. It was like the ability to just, I click this, what option? This one, okay, cool. Oh, okay, awesome, done. And it was just, it's so smooth, and it looks great as well. So I'm glad that I'm glad you all had a very similar experience to what I had.
Yeah, I think everyone used Shard on our cast to build their character, because again, it is just that easy.
Yeah, it's so incredibly easy. All right, gang, if you all don't have any questions, I don't know what else to ask Dane, because I don't want to spoil any of the cool actual play that you should be going to listen to right now, or not right now, after we're done, go listen to it. Because you've got a whole weekend. It's Friday, so you got it.
And we're doing a rare weekly release. It's coming out every week this month, so you don't have to wait long for the next one.
I love that's my personal favorite thing about doing podcasts over live streams is the ability to back it all up. We do production, edit it
Yeah.
all, and then just boom, week after week after week. And at that point, it's just pressing a button and letting it go. You don't have to do a
Yeah.
whole. It's love it. Ooh, what would you like to add to the magic? Well, I don't know if Dane may have an answer to this because this is more specifically about. I mean, Dane, if you have an
Hey,
answer to
I'm
this,
I'm here. Let's do
if
it.
you have an answer to this for your game and maybe for future Tales of the Valiant games, what would you like to add to the magic system that we already have for Tales of the Valiant?
Oh, that's interesting. Because one of the things that we geeked out about in our session 0
Mm-hmm.
is the magic system. We
Yes.
really liked the removal. It's a simple thing, but changing spell levels to spell circles feels more in universe. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could actually talk about that as a mage character. Like it
Yes.
feels weird when I'm playing a caster in like another system and I'm like, well, I'm at a level 2 spell slot, so I can't cast right. Like that sounds weird and no one talks like that.
Yeah.
But being like, oh, I don't have access to my second circle right now sounds cool. And
Yes.
it's right like that is I wish I could remember because Ryan, who was playing a warlock, kept saying something. I think it was he wanted he wanted more weird spells. I think that
Mm.
he was very excited about weird. I think his only thing was like I want more weird casters, like a witch or something, right? Like that plays around in the weird spells.
I can tell you now. We've got more weird spellcasters and spells on the way. But also,
Amazing.
we do have a witch in Deep Magic Volume 2. There's a witch class that I believe in the conversion guide does use the weird spells or use
Hell
the
yeah.
weird spells. So that we do have some we I agree. The warlock being the only weird caster means that there aren't as many weird spells.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, also a thing that I am looking forward to as well. But I agree, there is like the fact that now the magic system works in a way that you can actually like have a conversation with and like you can talk about the mechanics of the game in world and it doesn't
Yes.
feel weird is such like a small thing but such an incredibly impactful thing narratively because then you can actually
Yeah.
play with that as far as like, oh, what if magic is getting strange and like now all spells of X circle, right, work differently or like don't have access to or have
Yeah.
more, like there's so much you can work with there now that it's an actual like world building component that I think is cool.
Yeah. Ungamifying the language feels really good. So like I don't have much to add to the magic system other than more weird spells.
More weird spells.
That's all we want.
Yeah, absolutely. Spellcrafter. Um, I believe we actually. I yes, we would probably do a book for that. I can't specifically say if we have any of those like in the near future, but I will say that there have been conversations about things of that as well. I would also like to remind. Let's try to keep questions specifically moving towards or about No Quest for the Wicked in general, because I don't believe Dain has the ability to answer questions about Kobold Press specific things. Um, the game sounds great so far. I've been listening to the actual play with Dain and crew. Hey, well, you've got a fan in chat, in Twitch chat
Hey, what's up?
specifically. Um, Oh, well, thank you, Alan. It's just that's good to know that it's more primordial than oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense thinking about it. Good to know. Hey, no problem at all, Spellcrafter. Awesome. I think my last question for you, Dan, unless we get any more
Yes.
questions here in chat, um, is where can people find you on the internet? And also, do you said you all have another mini series coming out as well soon potentially? So if you want to
Yeah.
give any uh, uh, teasers about what that is as well, that people can look forward from you.
Yeah, so you can find me on the internet pretty much everywhere as Daniac, Dainiac. I believe Twitter is the Daniac, but I imagine if you search that, you'll find me. Also, available everywhere at No Quest for the Wicked. You can look that up at noquestcast.com or noquestcast on all of our socials, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything like that. We've actually been putting out, for I think like towards the beginning of things, we're doing a lot of video content for Tales of the Valiant because we had those incredible cast members, and it didn't make any sense to hide them just behind a voice. So there's, if you're interested in maybe seeing what the vibe is or the tone is for the the campaign that we're doing for Tales of the Valiant, popping over to our Instagram or TikTok. Niall's been doing a great job pulling clips from our various sessions. We're now just getting into session one and sort of like the chaos that we got into there. As for our upcoming series, I don't know too much about it because I'm not the GM for once.
Oh, that's so
But I
true.
do know that it is Niall is going to be taking over the GM reins, and he has described it as office space in space. So I'm not entirely sure what that means,
Okay.
but I think it's going to be very sort of like corporate focused that then branches out into sort of like a planet hopping space adventure. Um, my plan is just to tease you a little bit because all I know is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing a like a motivational speaker who believes in the power of manifestation, not knowing that he has magical powers that allow him to manifest whatever he wants. So he truly believes that he is manifesting all these things for himself, but really he's just accidentally creating alternate realities in which those things are true.
That's wild.
Yeah,
That is
that's what we're going to be getting into.
That's so cool. All right. Well, everyone, I put links both for No Quest for the Wicked and for Dane's Instagram and all of the chats. Please, please, please go check those out. And don't forget to go also check out the Session 0 and also the Episode 1 and then all of the other episodes as well of the Loom of Severed Strands. Thank you so much, Dan, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And everybody at home, thank you so much for being here for another Kobold Chats. We did it a little earlier today. Just, sometimes that's how it is. But we will be here next week's, not the same time, the usual time, same channels. And next week we're talking to another one of our Kobold Creates creators, Fabian Lillet over at Bad House RPG, so you can get ready to hear more about some of the awesome projects that people are coming out with using Tales of the Valiant. So we will see you all then and there. Thank you all so much, everybody, and don't forget to go out, eat enough food, drink enough water, get enough sleep, and take care of yourself, because self-care is very important. And don't forget to love yourself and everyone around you. We'll see ya.